it's one of those things where it's like I took like I was in Nashville the beginning of June, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna kind of take a break from like live streaming after Nashville because I did like 40 interviews in 4 days. So I was like, I don't really need the content right now.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
figured it was just like it was a good time to kind of take a break. And now it's like, okay, now I got to kind of get back into that mix because we're coming up to like the last few interviews here. And so,
yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
been a, it's
good
been
timing
a,
then.
right, right. And I know you and I had been trying to get a interview lined up here for a bit, based
Yeah.
off the release of, was it, I think right around the time you released your last big project, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, May. So,
Yeah.
not something beautiful. Wow, nearly said the old title. What
Starring
is
at the Moon.
it? That one.
Yeah, for sure. But excited to have you back on. We have Jenny Colquitt on here. How's everything been going?
Really good. Yeah. The album is pretty much taken over my everything really. And
Yeah,
then I had the album and then a tour and then big festival. And then yeah,
nice.
I'm sort of settling down now really.
Gotcha. So it's are you like looking at the next project, or are you just kind of like trying to figure out your bearings for like the rest of the year? Because obviously summer's it's so weird that summer's almost over at this point in the game, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange because we in the UK we've kind of had like little flips of summer, but we've not
mhm,
really had it doesn't feel like we've had like a proper summer this time, which is a shame. Maybe it'll come. We do sometimes get this like Indian summer, which is kind of like towards the end of, August into September.
mhm.
But yeah, in terms of trying to figure out my next project, pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I always say like after an album or something, I'm going to take a bit of time off. You just can't do that in this industry anymore. So you've got to be, and also you get a little bit bored as I do as an artist. I always want to move on to the next thing, whether it's going to be an album or an EP. I don't know at this stage. I'm still working that out. And to be honest, the last album wasn't an album until, maybe like halfway in. It was just a
Yeah,
collection of songs, which I guess is the same thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know at the moment. I've got two tracks coming out. I've got one coming out on Friday, which is just it's an acoustic song off the album. And then another acoustic song coming out a few weeks after that.
Mhm.
I've not got a date for.
Nice.
And then I've got loads of songs that wanting to get recorded and get out next year. Maybe some this year as well.
Fair, fair. I love it when musicians take a like so starring at the moon, it's a fully produced album, and then they convert it all into like acoustic, like straight acoustic, because I feel like it gives more life to your music because it's without having to feel the need to like keep producing 100% brand new material because like fully produced is one thing, then you do like an acoustic version, and that's like a whole different experience. And so I love that musicians are kind of starting to figure that out. And it's like, okay, I don't necessarily have to be writing 800 songs a year. I could write 20 really good songs and still be continually releasing music by doing like an acoustic version, a fully produced version, all that fun stuff. So
Yeah, I think this for me it's the first time I've ever done anything like that. This release will be the first ever kind of re-release in a way of a song that I've already put out. Um, but in terms of kind of what I need to be careful of is whenever I release an album, I like I say I get bored and I want to move on to the next thing, but then it doesn't kind of give the album justice. So, I purposefully made sure that I wasn't kind of rushing into the next release straight away.
mhm.
Obviously then your whole marketing has to kind of go into this next era and then almost like gets like sort of left behind. So kind of doing the acoustic track kind of made a lot of sense for me, really, in
Yeah.
terms of it keeps it the album, but at the same time, it is something different to move on to and something just to kind of give the audience because they want things all the time. So
Yeah. And I think for you, especially since you're very active on Twitch and you Twitch stream, are you doing like 2 or 3 times a week right now, or is it a little bit more?
roughly three. Sometimes it's two. I don't have like set days, so it kind of changes.
Yeah.
But two
But
or
I think what by you releasing more acoustic variations of your music, it gives your Twitch followers more like, okay, this is stuff that we're used to hearing on your Twitch stream. And now we can go buy that. And then you've also got the fully produced version, which I think that's kind of a cool shot for your Twitch followers. So,
yeah, definitely. Because I have that struggle as well of like go fully produced with band and your
Yeah,
orchestra, or do I go, acoustic? Because yeah, definitely it's a struggle that I have. So yeah, some people like it a
yeah,
little bit more stripped back in the live stream version, and then other people prefer like say the studio version.
yeah. Fair enough. Now, did you hit 5K Twitch streamers yesterday? Did I see that correctly?
I'm not here. Yeah, I'm very close. Well,
Very,
actually, I've not actually checked. I don't think
because
I've.
I was on your stream yesterday, and then as I was trying to get ready for my podcast, I was like, I started not really paying attention, and I went back after my podcast to kind of just see if you were still on. And then on the bottom, it said, like in the preview link, it said 5K. So I didn't know if you had hit that yesterday at some point.
Ah, no, I I put in the title like Road to 5K to try
Yeah.
and kind of get a few more follows. It does
Yeah.
say 5K. If you go on my page, it does say 5K, but it's not hit
Actually,
that yet. Yeah.
it's just like rounding up or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
very close. Yeah, hopefully within the next few weeks, maybe.
Because that was the one thing I remember. Like when I was on your stream, I saw it was at like 4,900 or like whatever it was. And I was like, okay, she probably
Yeah.
hit 5K because I saw it on the thing that it said you had 5K subs. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
she probably hit it. So yeah, thought I'd
I
bring
wish
it
it
up.
I wish it was subs. Imagine if it was 5K subs.
Or yeah, follows. My bad. Yeah. Man,
We'd be
5K subs,
retiring.
it'd be like, see you later, work. I don't have to worry about you anymore.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right. It's like, hey, okay. But no, that's cool. And so Starring at the Moon is your new album. You released it back in May. It it's been in pretty consistent rotation on my Spotify playlist.
Oh,
Varying songs. So I've absolutely loved it. How long have you kind of been working on that project? I feel like it's been a work in progress for a bit.
it was just less than a year. We managed to get it rounded up in about 11 months, 11 months. Yeah, we pretty much started the actual production of the album kind of towards the end of my last tour, so the tour of the Lost Animals EP. Yeah, there was a couple of weeks in between, a couple of dates, and I got back in the studio, started working straight away on Staring at the Moon. And I always knew I was going to be doing, um, a bigger project after the EP type thing, but it was just figuring out kind of, yeah, it was. I think it was like admitting it to myself, and then now it's kind of like that same process again. It's probably going to
Yeah,
be an album at some point, but
fair enough.
yeah, writing all the time.
Fair enough. How's that writing process? Because you also to support the album, you did a little bit of a tour, right? You were doing like around the UK.
Yeah, yeah, I did a UK tour with the band, 12 dates, and yeah, it was really good. It feels like I've only just finished it because I kind of like went straight from that, played Glastonbury Festival, which was, kind of took a lot of my attention, and then yeah, now I'm kind of like, oh, I did that, kind of
Yeah,
sit back and enjoy what I've done over the last few months. So yeah.
nice. That's cool. It's I don't get to sit in on your streams all the time, but when I do, I feel like I always learn something new about you. Like just I didn't know you were doing Glastonbury, and I know that's a pretty big festival over in the UK, right?
Yeah, it's the biggest one in
Yeah,
the UK. Yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
like I don't. It's nothing like Coachella, but I would kind of maybe liken it in terms of popularity to that.
fair, very fair. So at some point we'll talk about Everton because I know we had that brief conversation yesterday about all that fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But how's the show since you got off tour? Are you playing shows pretty consistently right now, or where you kind of at show wise?
Um, Kind of took a bit of a. There isn't as many gigs at the minute. Which is fine to be honest for me because I'm not somebody who can be gigging
Mhm.
consistently every week. I absolutely love it, but it's not something that's I think with the fact that I'm working and streaming and all that kind of stuff, it's difficult to mainly just to get the gigs. It's not as easy to sort of get gigs that are it's easy to get gigs, but to get gigs that are going to kind of push you as well. And more recently, I've had quite a few cancelled and different things happened and stuff. So yeah, it's not been very consistent since the tour, but like I say, that's fine because I've just done a huge
Yeah,
tour,
right,
So
fair. And it gives you time to kind of focus in on the writing and all that stuff. Who are
yeah.
as far as like since you're like really in the writing process right now, are you listening to anyone that is kind of inspiring you at the moment?
Um, oh, that's a good question. I've been listening to like quite a lot of um like indie pop is something that I'm just really listening to at the minute. But I've really figured out that the type of stuff I listen to isn't necessarily the stuff that inspires my writing.
Really? Okay.
It obviously does to sort of an extent, but like if you listen to my Spotify playlist, you'll be like, that's nothing like you. Which is fine. But
Yeah.
in terms of specific artists, I've been listening to Post Malone a lot recently.
Fair. Okay.
I don't know why. I just kind of like his voice, and yeah, it's not my like I say, it's not my style of music or something that
Mm.
you necessarily go, oh. But yeah, that's kind of the thing that I've been gravitating towards recently. My release radar is getting more and more country music, which is crazy for me because
I
I've always,
think
you know,
I think everybody's is.
yeah,
I really do.
yeah.
Like I was listening to when I was driving back from Chicago last weekend. I had played through my standard playlist like twice already. I was like, all right, I need something new because I can't drive and try and add new music. So I went into my release radar and it was just like, where'd all this country music come from? Like, I don't mind it, but like you add one or two Jelly Roll songs to your playlist and it's like, oh
Yeah,
dang, okay, fine.
yeah,
So
yeah. I also love like really ambient dark folk as well.
fair.
There's a girl called Aurora. I don't know if you listen to Aurora much, but I kind of really am digging that kind of stuff at the minute as well. But again,
Nice.
it's not something that I'd normally would listen to. I feel like I'm in like a
Mm.
bit of a phase. I kind of go through like listening and writing phases where like
Hmm.
I'm heavily listening and then I'm heavily writing. And at the minute, I'm more focusing on the writing.
Yeah.
So the listening is just kind of whatever's there. I'm not really kind of actively looking for specific
Yeah.
things. It's just
It's
what's
just
there.
it's just kind of not ambient noise because I feel like that's kind of a disrespectful way to address like music, but it's just kind of music that
Yeah,
keeps you from sitting in the silence, pretty much.
very much. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But
Fair.
yeah.
Oh, so going into your writing, how are you finding that your writing process, like right now, you just released a your full album, you just got off tour. Are you finding that your writing process, you're like full of creative ideas right now, or are you kind of like struggling right now to get ideas out?
Um, it's an interesting time for you to ask me that question because if you'd have asked me that question maybe like 2 weeks ago, I would have
Hmm.
said like, "Oh, I'm kind of like struggling at the minute." But
Hmm.
then I literally wrote a great song last night. So yeah, I'm kind of like in that process of becoming more creative. You know, it's
Okay.
like a really exciting moment where you start feeling like different melodies and you just feel like you want to sit at the piano and write.
Hmm.
Um, so like last night, it was like 9:30 at night, and the plan was to try and do some writing last night, but then I got caught up with other bits and bobs, and I never
Yeah.
ended up coming in the studio. And then it was like 9:30. I was like, I'm just gonna go and sit in the studio. Well, I had it unlocked, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, I need to go and lock up. And then I thought, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna see if I sit down and if anything happens. And then I came in and I sat down, and then yeah, I wrote a song last night. So pretty
Nice.
excited.
Now, I know Swag John's in the comments. He's excited about the new song,
I need to find
but
it. How do I get the chat? Oh, there it is, the chat. Ah, okay,
yeah.
I got it.
And so the next follow-up question, the only logical one, from the moment you kind of get the song written, when do you kind of start experimenting with it on like a Twitch stream or a show? Like what does that kind of process look like?
It's usually like the next stream.
Okay.
Um, I have this thing where I have like a fight with myself every time I write a song, whether to hold it back, get it perfect, and then play it, or just to be like, guys, I'm so excited about this, and then play it because yeah, I just really want to. I like that. I like letting people into that kind of phase where you get so
Hmm.
excited about the song because it does naturally kind of become less and less as you listen to a song, you know. So like for example, when I wrote Without You, I
Hmm.
like absolutely loved it and I couldn't wait to play it for people. And then now it's like I don't really listen to it much. But so that's kind of the journey of
Hmm.
that. And I don't want people to miss out on that. It's like when a when I released No One Loves Me Like You, which is one of the singles off the album, I went through that whole thing on my own of like being really excited about it. And then I even kind of went to the studio and put it all down and ended up having to like wait for ages. And by the time it had come out, I was like, yeah,
Fair,
not that I didn't like the song, but I wasn't as excited as I was like literally the second I wrote it.
fair.
Felt like a bit
Okay,
of a shame to kind of, but yeah, I
I
felt
got
like
you.
that.
And it happens. It's one of those things where it's like he gets so excited about the brand new toy, and then once you've kind of played with it so much,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, it's time to do something with this. It's
Yeah.
like maybe I should. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fix to that one is, but I'm sure there is one. So
I think being a streamer, if I
okay.
wasn't a live streamer, then I think it'd be pretty straightforward. It'd be write the song, record the song pretty quick,
Hmm,
and then get it out. But because I have this audience and this community and I have a lot of patrons and things like
hmm,
that. It's more of a group thing for me.
yeah,
I like that. That's part of it. I'm hoping that that's what the audience are like as well. I know some people prefer me to kind of get it all together or even just sometimes put a song fully together and put it
yeah,
out. I just much prefer just that whole excitement of the song growing on the streams, literally
yeah.
live.
And it kind of, although you're not seeing like the first or the actual like face to face um feedback like you would at a live show, you're still getting like written feedback about the song, allowing it to kind of like when you're writing a song, it's like in your head, you see it one way, but then when you start playing it for people, they start reacting to it to slow it down or speed it up, like
Hmm.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I think with the like, especially doing like the live streaming aspect, it just gives you the unlimited, untapped potential to kind of like really try out new songs whenever you want and not
Yeah.
have to worry about any real repercussions behind it. Like if they
Yeah.
don't like the song, it's like, okay, I won't ever play it again, you know?
And another thing is that I feel like part of my kind of brand in I don't like calling it a brand, but I guess it
Mm,
is. It's kind of I try and be as real as possible. Like I try and, I make mistakes all the time on live
mm,
streams and I talk about it all the time. It's not something that I try and hide. Obviously, I prefer to kind of be perfect, but
mm,
I'm not, so I just can't. So if I'm playing a song and it's like the first time I played it and I change it a little bit, it's not that like stress of like this is like the perfect final kind of clean cut version of the song. This is me performing the song where it's literally just come from like my heart.
yeah,
Um, and then it's going to become something and it will eventually become a little bit more of a polished kind of hopefully performance.
yeah,
But yeah.
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 So when you're writing song, do you find yourself writing more like at least in the initial stages, do you find yourself writing more towards like an acoustic style that'll play on like Twitch and then building it out for a full band performance? Or do you go straight in with a like this is how the full band sound is going to be, and then we'll figure out like the acoustic stuff later?
It's different with different songs. Usually it's built around a more acoustic version because of
Mm,
the nature of kind of like I guess the type of songs that I write.
yeah,
The kind of more vocal heavy, melody heavy type things. Even like the bigger band songs, they're all still quite vocal heavy. So I guess it would be generally to build around the song in that way. But there has been songs like No One Loves Me Like You, where I was like literally heard the whole thing. The guitar riff is equally as important as the vocal melody and the lyrics.
yeah,
So yeah, it's different for different songs, but generally it would be like, yeah, we build around the acoustic version. And then it's easier to strip it back then, I find.
yeah. I got you. That's fair enough. I figured since you're do a lot of streaming. I was kind of curious if you started doing more acoustic stuff and then built around it for full band stuff or vice versa. So that's um good. Like that's kind of always an interesting like approach that kind of differs between musicians and projects and all that stuff. So
I will say that I do always have for certain songs, like I know the type of music that I want around it.
mhm,
Sometimes I don't, but I usually have some kind of view or vision of how it would be. But yeah, that would again be built around the vocal and the main instrument.
gotcha. Awesome. So you've got a new single coming out Friday, which is the acoustic. We talked about that a little bit. At what point did you kind of decide to start or to release a song? How long's this kind of thought process been in the back of your head?
So originally the album was going to be a 12 track album,
Hmm.
crowdfunded for a full 12 track album. And then as the time kind of progressed and I decided I wanted to press it to vinyl and I had the tour coming up, I realized that I probably needed to kind of get just a 10 down because I didn't really have a lot of time. Also, when you press the vinyl, it's important to kind of keep it within a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
So when I decided I was pressing to vinyl, I decided to keep the album as 10 tracks, but then I still had the 2 tracks that we could work on. So I'd done I can't remember like specifically when I had the idea of it being acoustic. I feel like I always knew I was going to do something similar, whether it was
Hmm.
acoustic or maybe like a different like version. I always kind of knew that. And then I feel like I made the decision before this, but I did a radio interview like just before the tour, like a couple of weeks before the tour, and me and my producer played an acoustic version of it. It went down really well, so we decided, yeah, let's definitely do that specific song as an acoustic.
Nice.
And then the other song, which I don't think I've told people what it is, I'm not going to do that just in case. Um, I'd on the live stream started playing an acoustic version of it that was kind of different to the original version. People have probably guessed what it is now. um, and then I've decided to kind of put that version down. So yeah, there's only 2 of them. It's not like a full
Hmm.
uh, album of acoustic songs, which
Yeah.
would be cool. But yeah, we need to sort of keep keep the other the money going on to new stuff, I think, after
Yeah,
this.
for sure. I 100% understand that. It's so as we kind of look into the rest of the year, obviously it's almost the end of July. Like I think Thursday is like August 1st already, which is
Wow. Yeah.
crazy, crazy wild. Um, what's the like? You obviously got the new single dropping on Friday, and then you have do you have the date for the second one yet, or is that still kind of up in the air?
It's still up in the air, but it won't be long. I would say probably maximum 6 weeks, probably more like 4.
Gotcha. Okay. And then after that, it's just kind of streaming while you write and record for the next album, next
Yeah.
big, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm already back in the studio, working with Dave on new stuff already. So we've already got some songs in the works. And like I say, I'm writing. Feels great. I'm very happy today because I wrote a song yesterday.
Nice.
You can
That's
probably tell I'm like buzzing with this new era. It's very
nice. Has there been an have you found that there's been kind of a transformation in your sound from the previous project to this new stuff that you're writing, or is it kind of have you kind of found your sound that you want to play?
it's strange. That's such a difficult question for me specifically, I think, because
Mm,
I write different, like I have sort of 3 different vibes. I kind of have ballad singer-songwriter, and then I have kind of rockier singer-songwriter, and
mm,
then stripped back folk. Um, so I kind of always know I'm going to be within them realms, and each song kind of lends into one more than the others. So yeah, I feel like I found my sound, but that sound is pretty varied, if you know what I mean. So
mm.
I wouldn't say that this new album is going to be it's not going to be heavy metal or anything like that. So it'll be me. It'll be
Fair,
a mixture of those 3 things.
fair
I
enough. Fair
say
enough.
new album. I don't even know if it's going to be a new album or when
All
it's
right.
going to be.
The new project. We'll just call it the new phase of Jenny Colquitt.
Yeah, Clive has just made a comment there, Stadium Folk. I had a review of my album. Like it came in like a couple of months after, like it literally came in this week.
Hmm.
And I read it, and it was probably my favorite review of the album so far. And I was reading it through, and it said that I'm like stadium folk, and I was like, that is me. That is
Nice.
me. That is the best way to I think describe my genre. So yeah,
That
Clive.
that is always an interesting like struggle that creatives and musicians have because you have this need that like the system is set up to kind of put everybody into a box,
Mhm.
but it's there's a lot of musicians out there that are so inspired by a lot of different things that to say, oh, you're just a straight folk artist isn't 100% fair to you as a musician, or to say somebody's a straight hip hop artist or a rock artist when they have like jazz influences or reggae, just like all these different influences. It's it's kind of like a weird cross section of the indie industry right now, where it's like got to keep everybody in their box, but everybody's influenced by everything. So, what
Yeah.
kind of genres are we really working with right now?
Yeah, yeah, it's a horrible thing that, to be honest, sometimes, but at the same time, it's exciting because, like you said, so many people are working on different realms and tapping into different things. I think if you want to be really marketable and you want to be famous, then yeah, you have to do one thing. But yeah, I think for me, it's more, singer-songwriter with elements of different genres that I
Hmm.
learn to. Yeah.
Nice. So, right now is currently the Summer Olympics out
Yeah.
in Paris. Are you guys seeing a lot of like um visitors coming over to the UK? Well, I mean, you're up in Liverpool, so I imagine you're probably not getting too much of that, but
Um, no,
like,
I've not really noticed.
okay.
Yeah.
I figured since it was in Paris and that's relatively close to the UK, I was like, maybe there's a little bit of crossover, but
Maybe in London, but I wouldn't really, that's not something that I would sort of expect. It's not like,
mhm,
oh, people to kind of come over now. Maybe in
yeah,
London, I don't know, maybe if people live kind of in the southern side, maybe. But
yeah,
from no one ever visits where I live.
fair. We got to change that. So I don't know. It's so funny because it's like every time I have somebody from the UK on, it's always they're either from London or from the South Sea or the southern area of the UK, or, and it's like, I tell them, it's like, one of the things I want to do is I want to go to Liverpool so I can go see an Everton match.
Yeah. And you
And
have to
they're,
visit.
right. And the first question always is that where Everton's based out of? And I'm like, I don't know. You're from the UK. I'd hope I guess, but it's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good.
Everton's if you live in I have this thing if you live in Liverpool then you're an Everton fan.
Hmm.
But if you live outside Liverpool, you're a Liverpool fan.
That's fair. That's so
A
funny.
lot of people will disagree with that, but I know there's a lot of Liverpool fans in Liverpool, but it just feels like there's a bit of a trend that most of the people who support Liverpool aren't from Liverpool.
That's fair.
I don't
That's
know.
very fair. But no, it's one of those things because it's like every time, like, it's getting to the point now where I'm trying to plan out this trip to come to the UK, and it's like, okay, well, the touristy thing to do is go to London.
Mm,
And not that I'm against doing touristy things, but I don't want to have a traditional London experience.
mm,
I want to go to the UK. I want to go see like Bournemouth, Portsmouth, go down to the southern area, and then come up to Liverpool, Manchester, and like just kind of see everything.
yeah.
Because it, like, I'll make one trip. I don't know if I'll make another one. Hopefully I will, but so it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
struggle.
you definitely should come up north. Think I love London. I do love London and when we decide where we're going to go on holiday, I like sometimes think I'd rather go to London and
Mm,
spend some time in London, but it's very expensive to kind of get there and park and blah 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 blah.
fair.
So usually like we end up like we've booked to go to Berlin next year.
Oh well,
Uh, but yeah, London's great. I really genuinely love London. It's probably one of my favorite cities in the world. And but like I say, it kind of feels like you want to go abroad because when you go on holiday, you kind of want to go abroad. But I
mm,
genuinely would go to London if it wasn't so expensive.
that's
But yeah.
fair.
Or
No, and
America. I want to go to America at some point. Just think,
America, it's the thing about America, and I don't think a lot of like people from the UK or Australia quite get how big. I mean, I'm sure people from Australia get it because Australia is a freaking huge continent. But I've talked to a few people, especially from like the UK. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to come to America, and I'm flying into New York, and then I'm going to like LA the next day." And it's like you realize like that's a
yeah.
6 hour flight, 7 hour flight, like to get from like LA to or to get from New York to LA. That is like an insane trip.
I think I'd like
So,
to just do like East Coast to
mhm.
start. That'd be where I'd want to start. I would like to go to LA, but I wouldn't say that that would be like I think because I know a lot about America, I've got quite a few American kind of supporters and things. I
Yeah,
kind of have a bit more of a grasp of that. But yeah, like I think a lot of people in the UK think we're just gonna go to America, you know.
yeah,
You like it's so far, like you say.
yeah.
It's
It's
really
like where in America you've got and it depends. You could fly into where I'm from in Chicago, drive 3 hours south, and be in a completely like you're still in the state of Illinois, but you're in a completely different type of atmosphere, different type of, like you're going to get a different experience 3 hours south of Chicago.
yeah, yeah.
So but I'm sure it's the same thing in the UK as well. So,
I feel like I don't know a lot about like the middle grounds of America. Kind of
hmm
know a bit about like the East and the West.
hmm
I wouldn't like if you were to say like a state in the middle. I wouldn't really know what to expect to kind
yeah.
of go. You know what I mean,
Well, to be fair, the East Coast and the West Coast are like the most highly populated areas just because of like I was reading an article once. I think between the East Coast and the West Coast, that's almost like 2/3 of our population. And the more inwards you like, if you were to look at like a population map, the East Coast and the West Coast are like the most highly populated. And then as you move more into like Central or Mid America, it's like a lot less populated. And so it's like this weird, like all these bright colors around the coast. And then as you get in, there's like not a whole lot going on. So, which
yeah, I didn't
is
know that. Huh.
yeah, I was reading an article about that, and it has to do with like the settlement back in like the 1700s when we were settling America and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So
I guess it makes sense, you know. Well, we found the ground.
yeah,
We'll just
it's
all
like
stay here.
don't necessarily need to move. So we're gonna just like set up here and
Yeah, it does.
call
It
it a day. So,
makes sense.
but so you'd made a comment yesterday during your live stream that Everton is signing a whole bunch of players right now, which I was watching or I had to catch up because I've been so busy the last couple months. It was like, okay, the season's over. I'll worry about Everton in August when the season kind of starts to kick back up. And
Yeah,
then there's a podcast that I follow called the Toffee Blues, it's a YouTube channel. I don't know if it's a podcast or whatever,
yeah, I
but
watched that.
yeah. And all of a sudden there was like all these videos that got uploaded about all these guys that they were signing. And I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. Like
They
it
don't either.
yeah, fair.
They don't. They just you do this thing where like you'll get Fabrizio Romano on Twitter will be like, "We're gonna be signing this guy." I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay," and then you know everything about that guy,
yeah,
but you've never seen him or heard of him before that. Yeah,
fair.
that's most fans.
Okay, fair enough. Because I was sitting there, I was like, man, this is like when I first really started getting into like baseball, because there's so many levels of competition. And it's like, okay, this guy belongs to this team, belongs to this major team, but he plays for this team. And it's just kind of like he's 19 and a young kid, and he's got 3 years before he makes it to like there's just so many levels to everything. And to
Wow.
know who everyone is, it's like this feels like me right now trying to
Yeah,
learn English Premier Football. So
that's what I think. That's really exciting, though. I think
yeah.
it's so there's like so many players that you can. I used to love Football Manager when I was a kid. I
Mm,
spent a lot of my life sat in my in my room, either playing on The Sims, building a family, or playing Footy Manager.
fair.
That was like years of my life. And I used to love it. I used to be like, oh, we need to scout this guy and he's got to have this attribute. And I'd be like finding like the most random people. But you'll find a lot of kind of football fans now are very aware of players through their footy manager stats.
Yeah.
So, so if they've got like high rankings in like progressive passes or whatever, that's because like, stats are becoming huge now because of YouTubers and
Mm,
various things. But footy manager is yeah. If you want to learn a lot about football, then I guess it's like the place to go.
yeah.
It's expensive though.
Fair.
I've not got the new one. I've not played games for ages.
Yeah.
Don't have
Fair enough.
time.
I was watching the Olympics yesterday, and they had a football match on yesterday. I don't even know who was playing, but I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this and just kind of see like try and pick up some more knowledge, I guess. And
Yeah.
I left watching that match more confused than anything. And I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. It was like Greece versus somebody, it was just like two random countries. And I'm
Well,
like,
the Olympics is I don't even think we've got a Team GB football team, men's football team. I don't think we do this time. But it's always like the football in like the Olympics, it's usually like professionals, but they're not like players who play in the Premier League or play
mm,
in like, big leagues. I don't really know where they find them. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but from like memory, it's kind of like not usually you don't get like many big names anyway.
yeah,
Maybe in other countries, I don't know, but from memory, I don't remember like you wouldn't get like Jordan Pickford playing for Team GB, you know.
yeah,
Don't even think
yeah, yeah.
about it, you know.
And it's not like other sports where like basketball, you have like every NBA person playing for their home country team, or like
Mm.
what was I watching the other day? Oh, like tennis or stuff like that, where it's like all these people that you watch all the time, and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
so this is, so
think it's
it,
because there's so many games, so like Premier League players have to play. And there's this big thing now about like, they're playing too many games and it's
mm,
kind of reducing the quality of the performance. And, Mbappe came out and said something
yeah,
about that. So I think it's probably to do with that more than anything. So the Olympics is kind of like the last thing that they're thinking about.
yeah,
Olympic in this country
fair.
is more we focus more on kind of like the athletics
Mm,
and the sports that I wouldn't necessarily watch normally, but I'm
yeah.
like, oh, the rowing.
Or I was watching synchronized diving last night. I was like, I wouldn't watch this any other time, but it's on and it's kind of interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it the Olympics are always an interesting time because especially the Winter Olympics, when people like really get into um what's the game where they have the puck and they throw it down the ice, and then they have the brooms or whatever.
Berlin.
Yes, curling.
That
And it's like I've never seen people actually get into that sport other than
was
like the Winter Olympics. So,
I know. And I'm one of the people that like I will not watch something and then all of a sudden it's like I'm obsessed with it.
right.
I know everything about every like yeah. Yeah. Maybe not
Nice.
so much curling. I've never done it with that, but I remember one year I was watching Wimbledon and I was obsessed with tennis that whole entire summer.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's been good. Like I appreciate you introducing me into the world of English Premier League football back in I guess it was 2021, 2022, somewhere in that ballpark when we didn't know if Everton was going to make it to the next season. I mean, I guess technically we still never know if they will, but
I feel like we seem to be building a little bit
mm,
more. I just hope that we don't lose Branthwaite.
mm,
I've got a feeling we will because apparently we're going to be signing this Jake O'Brien from Leon.
yeah,
That seems like that's probably going to happen now. And he's not the type of player that I think would move to a Premier League team or a
mm,
team that he wasn't going to play at. I think he's got to be a starter at a team. So
yeah,
I've got something to show you actually.
yes.
Don't mind just like me unplugging myself for a second and
Oh, you're good. You are
just
good.
grab this for you. I don't know if you've seen this, but I got gifted this at one of my gigs.
Okay.
So
Wow.
is it? Can you see it? So it's
Yep. I
signed
guess.
by like Leighton Baines and loads of other players. Uh,
Nice.
and it even says like Jenny on it, which is cool. But my friend
That
Colin gave me this.
that's
Um,
awesome.
thought you'd probably quite appreciate that. But
Nice.
yeah,
And that's the goalkeeper kit, right? Is that
thanks. I'm not sure to be honest. I don't actually recognize it. This at this stage when we were sponsored by Angry Birds. Uh,
okay?
wait, can you see it? You can't see it.
Yeah.
Angry.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually I wasn't watching football at that time.
Oh,
I was
really? Okay.
that was when I started kind of becoming a little bit more into the music and
Mm,
I kind of went off football for a little bit, not for long, a couple of seasons. But that was around about that time, I think. So
fair.
I'm really aware of which kit that is. It could be just like a third kit or something,
Yeah.
but
I
really
will
good.
say Everton has some of the most amazing third kits. Like I was looking at I found this website that shows you kind of like the history of each team's, like what each year, what all their kits were.
Yeah.
And I saw their I guessing it was for this upcoming season. And it's like this, like brownish gray or something with like a pink or purple. And I'm like, that looks kind of cool. I think I would wear that if I could, just because it's so random.
You get like I don't know, we've not released that kit yet, so it's probably like a leaked kit, but
Yeah.
they do you do t tend to find that the leaked kits kind of are usually the ones that are
Yeah.
uh the real thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or very close.
Because I'm not a huge fan of like their traditional blue kits with the one they wore this past season with the collar on it. I
Yeah, I
was
wasn't a big fan of that.
wasn't a huge fan of it, but I think this year's blue kit looks a little bit cleaner, at least
Yeah.
from what I've seen. So yeah.
Yeah. I did get that kit last season, the top, and the quality was terrible. But
Mm,
we've just signed a new kind of kit deal, haven't we, with
mm.
a story. But apparently the first game we played it in, the badge came flying off Garner Gay's kit, so it's
Oh
probably
well.
not a good start. And there was some complaints from I think it was Aston Villa
Mhm.
about the Castore kits, and they've moved on. I think to maybe Adidas. I don't know, but they've moved on.
Yeah,
So,
fair enough. It's one of those things where it's like I can't dive that deep into the like who manufactures the kits because I just don't know enough. And so it's like I could sit here and pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. So
you watch the Toffee TV. Toffee
okay,
TV, that's the podcast that I watch, and they do a daily kind of video of all of the news, and that's kind of usually how I find out all this stuff as well.
nice.
I like the Toffee Blues, but it's I think it's a bigger channel.
Okay,
It's a YouTube channel called Toffee TV.
okay. I will add that to my list of stuff to watch because
Yeah,
I've got a few English Premier League like channels that I watch, but they're usually always going on and on about like Arsenal or Manchester,
yeah,
the like the
yeah,
teams that are like always in the top end of the table that it's just like I don't want to watch this. I'm good. And then it's the only time they ever bring up Everton is when last year when Everton like they lost like 10 points or whatever it was.
yeah,
Like that was all over the thing and I'm like, yes, I want to know why because
yeah.
like what happened because I don't know, but
Yeah,
but,
Toffee TV is really good. They do like they cover a range of stuff.
hmm,
Um, new transfers, kit deals, the stadium. They also have business people come on who kind of talk about the business side because at the minute we're trying to get taken over.
hmm,
They also have a dial-in thing, and they get a lot of people from the States dialing in, kind of
nice,
speaking to them on the phone, which is cool. So
nice,
it's like the biggest one. Yeah, Toffee TV. You'll find it straight away.
sweet. I will check that out. And then I or the new stadium is that's going to be like a next year thing, right? I kept hearing it was going to be this year, but that's like a next year thing.
It's going to be finished this season.
Hmm,
But decided not to move into it until the start of the
nice.
season after.
Gotcha.
So it will be finished pretty soon. The roof's just gone on it. I think all of the seats are in. It's just a pitch really and the kind of interior stuff now that they need to do. And
Nice.
that won't take long, I don't think.
Fair. Very fair. Now, I feel like, or I remember the first time we talked, you mentioned that you were starting to play like a five-a-side or something. Are you?
I was playing football back then.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to you about wanting to do five-a-side, and I don't think
Yeah.
I never ended up doing it.
Okay.
Uh,
Fair
I
enough.
was playing football like a couple of years ago, just before kind of into lockdown. I was playing for Warrington Wolverines, and then I went from that into a five-a-side kind of team,
Hmm.
and then stopped when I started doing music, when I released the album and stuff. So the first album.
Gotcha. So that was something that you just kind of did. I didn't know if that was something that you still do from time to time or
No, I would love to, because I need to do some form of exercise because it's just all I do at the moment is like walk the dogs. And I really probably should be doing some form of exercise. I think everyone should, but I just don't. I just don't have
fair.
time. Yeah, but
That's
if I was gonna do, it would be that probably.
Yeah, fair. Well, seeing how active your dogs have been in and out of the studio this morning, afternoon,
They are.
it's like I'd imagine walking them. That's probably an adventure in and of itself.
It is when you walk the two of them. Four is very good, really good on a lead. but Remy just is crazy. So you got the two of them together, and like Foy wants to go that way, and Remy wants to go that way. It's
It's
crazy.
like I'm gonna lose both of my arms. Cool. I love
Yeah,
it. So
it's got football as well. Yay.
nice. But I don't want to keep you too much longer here because what is it, like almost 4 o'clock your time?
Yeah, 10 to 4. It's coming up to
Yeah.
10 to 4 now. I'm streaming
Awesome.
at 8 on Twitch this evening, so anyone who's
Awesome.
watching, what?
I will make sure I'm there. I've
Yeah.
got some YouTube videos I got to cut really quick, and so that's been kind of what I've been focusing in is I'm trying to make YouTube like a thing again, and then I need to focus back in on Twitch. Twitch has just been, for whatever reason, it's been really hard for me to gain traction on Twitch. So,
Yeah, it's gone a little bit quieter more recently, like the last kind of year or
hmm,
so. Um, but yeah, I love Twitch because I've got like a pretty solid audience on there, so I usually know that I've got, a good group watching me. And
yeah,
then I do find new people on there as well, which is really good. I think it might be a bit easier for musicians a little bit maybe than podcasts,
yeah.
generally. But
How's
yeah, all gamers.
have you seen a difference or a noticeable like um difference between Twitch and Kick? Because I know you're kind streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. Is Kick helped or kind of hurt your Twitch streams,
Um,
or is Kick kind of taking on its life of its own?
it's very slow. It's very slow. I'm on Kick, kind of just to see if it'll build up in the background, but I feel like it's probably one of the things that you need to focus more directly on in
Mm-hmm.
order for it to grow. But it's also a very new platform as well. Um, I don't know if it's harmed my Twitch. It might have harmed certain things, I can't lie. Because obviously you can't focus as much on one chat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's kind of like that. You've got to decide, is it going to be better to stream on all platforms or one? But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think some people would prefer me to stream just on Twitch, but or just on YouTube.
Yeah.
You
But I
can't.
mean, I'm sure there's also people out there that are just straight up on Kick. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure there's probably a world where there's people that don't even know about Twitch. All they know is Kick, so
Yeah, I feel like people who are watching on Kick probably have moved from Twitch
mhm.
because I think like like Kick is kind of like trying, yeah. I don't want to
Yeah,
say, but it's
I
kind of
get
like the new Twitch. So it's probably more that people who are watching on YouTube possibly will never have heard of Twitch or Kick.
fair, fair. Which your YouTube channel, that's like, I mean, we've talked about this before. That's how I found you originally was through YouTube. I still don't remember what cover of yours I first saw, but I was on a covers kick. I was like trying to find covers of songs, and you're like in 2020, 2021, whatever it was, it like your music started popping up on my page, and I was like,
Oh,
okay. And then a couple years later, we got the podcast rolling. So,
I love it when people say that because like there was a serious like part of probably when I wasn't watching football where I was doing a lot of covers on YouTube, like trying to get one out a week.
mm,
Didn't last very long, but there was like enough covers out there that's kind of like collecting me audience members bit by bit, which is awesome.
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
I think that's a very underrated way for people, especially now. Like, I think it'd be a little bit more beneficial on TikTok now than you like. I mean, it'd be beneficial everywhere, but
Yeah.
just kind of doing cover songs, I think there's so much benefit to it. So,
Yeah, TikTok is something that I'm trying to get into. Posted a video on TikTok last night, actually, if anyone wants to check it out.
that's
So yeah. I think I'm just gonna play like cut up bits of the streams and put them on for
mhm.
now. Um, but yeah, YouTube, sorry, not YouTube. TikTok is something that I've been meaning to do properly for ages, and I want to try and get to 1,000 followers so I can do live streams on TikTok because then that could do loads for me.
Is that's the magic number is 1,000? Okay, that's what I need because I was yesterday I did a like a little Instagram live. I was like, oh, maybe I can go live on TikTok too, and then it was like, no, you can't go live, and I'm like, oh, I don't have enough followers. Okay, and so I was trying to figure out what the magic number was.
Yeah, it's 1,000, I believe.
Sweet, that's but yeah, no, if you're not doing that with your Twitch streams where you're cutting out like song, especially like the cover songs or whatever, and kind of putting them out there, I think that's a huge growth opportunity for you.
I know, I do need to do it more. I did it, like I said, I did do it last night, so maybe that's the start of something new.
right? And I hear Snapchat is like, I mean, Snapchat's always kind of been a thing, but they've recently released a feature that's similar to like TikTok, and supposedly because nobody really knows about it. And so
Yeah,
I was just like,
there's
okay,
probably
well,
oh yeah.
yeah. And it's like, okay, well, let's go see what this is about. And, you know, we'll see what happens with that. So
Nice. I've never used Snapchat.
I
It's just
don't, I'm not a huge fan of it because like the whole, like, I mean, I guess it's really no different than stories on Instagram, but
mm,
I don't know. I just never really got into Snapchat.
yeah.
So
There's too many now, isn't there?
yeah.
It's finding the balance of being on enough, but not on too many, and then like which one is the best for my specific thing.
Mm.
It's just a minefield.
Okay. Swag John says he thinks you should give Instagram Live a go.
Yeah, so the reason I've never done Instagram Live is because you can't get the audio to come through, but I believe that you can now. I believe there's some way of kind of hooking up proper interfaces into the
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah, there is. You have to buy or not buy. There's like a third party software that you like because I did it for a little bit, but I forgot 100% forgot how to do it. But you have to do it through your computer.
Hmm.
And there's like a third party software that you have to buy and run it through. Is it like OBS or maybe there's like a third party software that you have to get that allows you to kind of route and utilize your interface for Snapchat. So
I definitely because Instagram, I love Instagram. Instagram's one of my favorite platforms. It doesn't grow though. It's my favorite, but it's like the least growing platform that I have.
nice.
Uh,
Oh, thank you to Poet on the Street for the sub. Appreciate that. I'm
thanks.
so bad. I'm so bad at the sub thing because it's like during the podcast, it's like I'm focused on this, and then I gotta like remember there's a chat over here that I have to like
Yeah.
interact with, and then there's like a whole side conversation. It's like, oh, I don't have time to read the side conversation. I'll come back to it. So
Yeah, I guess it's difficult for you because you're a podcaster, so you're talking to me, but I'm talking to nobody. I'm talking to the Twitch chat, you
yeah,
know. Uh,
yeah.
must
It's
be
it's cool though. Like I love that Twitch is here and there's so many musicians that are like really making a living doing it. And like
yeah,
I don't know, like knowing what I know about Twitch, and it's like, okay, yeah, they take 50% of a lot of things, and it's like, oh, that's kind of annoying, but
yeah,
still like there's a lot of musicians that are actually making money with their music right now, and that's got to be a good thing. So
yeah. I wouldn't be doing music if it wasn't for Twitch, if I'm being
yeah.
honest.
I'm trying to figure out if there's a way for me to because there's a radio show that I did a good part of last year, and I kind of stopped doing it because I couldn't get like a live element to it. Like I like the idea of it kind of being live, and I was going to try and do it on Twitch, but I was reading all these like laws about, oh, you can't play, you have to play like copywritten free or not
Yeah,
copyrighted music, and I'm like,
yeah.
man, I don't know. So
You can get that though. I'm subscribed to uh, a a website called Artlist,
mhm.
um, where I get any audio,
Yeah.
non-copyrighted. It's for royalty free. Yeah.
Yeah, royalty free. That I was
Hey,
like, I'm in the marketing industry. How do I not know what this is called? It's like a thing, but you know. Uh thanks Diane for the sub. Appreciate you.
uh,
Um so um but so kind of looking forward to the summer. You're kind of in the full writing phase. Do you have any shows coming up or where you kind of at for the what are you looking at as far as like the rest of the summer? Just writing and taking a break or
so I'm away. I go away 3rd of August to the 10th. So I'm actually on holiday for a little bit.
nice.
And then I've got no gigs in August except for like weddings.
Nice.
Uh, and then I have a few gigs in September. I have Cheshire Folk Fest on the 8th. Um, I have my Brinley gig on the 27th, and I have a gig in Scotland on the 29th of September.
Nice.
Um, but I also have another gig now that I can't announce just yet, but on the 17th of September.
Okay.
in Liverpool, which I will be telling people about very soon. It's not a headline, it's a support gig. But yeah,
Nice.
in October I've got a big gig with me and Rachel Croft at Night and Day Cafe. And then after that, oh no, I've got another gig in November, which is a support gig in Birkenhead near Liverpool.
Hmm.
And then after that, it's 2025, and I've got a few dates already in for 2025, which people will find out about soon.
Sweet. That's cool. So you're staying busy. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm still planning, trying to figure out the trip to the UK. I was going to try and come in October because the American football team that I support is come playing in London in mid-October, or they're
Oh.
playing at Tottenham. I don't know. Is that's not in London, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's in London.
Okay. Well, they're playing at yeah, they're playing at Tottenham in October, and it's like that'd be cool to go see them play and go over to the UK. And I was looking at the prices for everything, and it was like thousands and thousands of dollars for like a 4-day trip, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to hard pass on that one. So
London's expensive. It really
yeah.
is.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's done through like a travel agency type situation. So that's like they're flying you out like business class. They're giving you like a 4-star hotel and like all this stuff. And it's like I'd rather stay in like the dodgy hotel that costs like $60 a night, or just like some like sleazy hotel that yeah, I might die in the middle of the night, but that's
I'll send
that
you a
sounds
message as to where I stay in London. I'm not going to say
yeah,
it on here, but
fair.
I'll send you a message as to where I stay whenever I'm gigging in London, and it's
Hmm.
actually quite cheap, and it's
Yeah,
right near a tube station that takes you right into the center of London.
fair.
Um, for me, it's like we love it because you can park there really cheap as well, but you won't
Mm,
have to worry about that. But yeah, I'll send you the name of where I stay, and it's like
cool.
very cheap, and
Nice.
it's safe. I think it's safe.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I like none of that really bothers me because I've stayed in some hotels where down in like I went to a festival a couple years ago and I forgot to book my hotel, and so like the night of, I'm sitting there looking for a hotel and they're all booked up, and I'm like, all right, dang it. And I found this one like super sketch hotel that was like insanely expensive. Like it was like triple what I probably should have paid for the place.
Mm.
And I walk in and they're like, okay, well, we got to let you into the gated parking spot. And I'm like, well, if they got a gated parking spot, you're in a pretty interesting area. And I
Yeah.
go to my room and there's, um, I don't know, there's prostitutes sitting in the hallway.
Ah, oh.
And I'm like, oh, dang it. Walk to my room. I'm done. Bye. And I
Yeah.
just kind of lock the door and I'm like, I'm not coming out. I'm sleeping, going straight to bed, and then I'm leaving. I'm not
Yeah.
dealing with this. So, but um, but
Uh,
yeah. So I'm not against it, like staying in a sketchy hotel. So
yeah. Oh, well, this feels nice. The hotel I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like I think we pay like between 30 and 60 quid a night. But
that's
in London, that's like really good.
oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. But really appreciate your time. I know you got a live or a stream coming up here in 4 hours. Yep, 4 hours.
Mm.
So I'll make sure I jump in on that. And I really appreciate your time. If anybody wants to follow you on social media, where's the best place to find you?
Uh, so I am on all socials except for Snapchat. And you can find me Jenny, either Jenny underscore Colquitt, Jenny dot Colquitt, Jenny Colquitt, or Jenny Colquitt music. There's not many of me. I think there's actually only one. Um so yeah, I'm pretty easy to find in that way. And Spotify, I'm yeah, on all of the usual places. You can I wonder if this will work. Will this work? No, it won't work. I have like a link tree. If you go in my Instagram bio, you click on the link tree, you
Mm.
can find all of my places.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to do this raid thing that I've not done in a very long time. So who is live right now? Okay. We're going to go to Carrie Ann Music because
Ah,
she's so I do want to thank you. Sorry, I like in my head it's like, okay, I usually just do this kind of in the background, but I was like, oh, we probably should raid. So
yeah,
but appreciate your time. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later.
See you soon, guys. Bye.
Okay, cool.
Didn't know you could like. So how does it work when you raid and you zoom? Like you raid and then
Oh, so basically, I just raid from my Twitch channel. Yeah,
yeah,
because I basically, I don't do it from Zoom. I just have my Twitch open on
oh,
a
yeah. I
different
guess the
thing.
same. I guess the same as I do on Ecam.
Yeah, except it just told me that she's not accepting new raiders or something.
Oh, why? Oh well.
Oh, okay, whatever.